Over the last 7 years, we have circumnavigated the world on our 37-foot sailboat Florence. Now, it is time for a change of tack.
We are setting out to face the challenges of wind and tide as we attempt to circumnavigate our home country. Join us as we explore the coastline of the UK, from picture-perfect seaside towns to the wild isles of Scotland.
This is Sailing Around Britain. Another early start this morning, but it's not because we are going a great distance today. It was just to get the right state of tide, and whilst the wind was still light, to get around this headland, because there's supposed to be really bad tidal overfalls or a Scottish roost which runs all around this area, and you're supposed to actually go 3 miles offshore. But we've headed out this morning, and because the wind and the tide are correct, it is as flat as a pancake. So we're just cutting straight inshore, and yeah, we'll be there in a couple of hours. We're only heading round to a little bay called Lerwick, where there's supposed to be some really interesting Viking history. So this is Lerwick, which has a huge amount of Viking history. Even the name of the place is Viking. It means Harold's Bay. And this area was originally picked, and the Vikings came from Scandinavia and raided the area, and it became mostly Viking. So this is a Viking longboat replica which was sailed over here from Sweden, and they were originally looking to take this across the Atlantic, but it's remained here in Haraldswick, and this is the type of boat that would have originally sailed here.
This is a replica of one of the raiding boats. These were between 17 and 36 metres long, so this is a fairly small one. It had crews of 25 to 60 people, but the bigger ships could carry over 100 when they were on a raid. And they're shoulder ass, so they can get inshore and up the rivers and attack before the defending population could get together and get an army together to defend against them. They were really fast. They do between 10 and 11 knots, so twice as fast as Florence can go. But for a crew of that size, when you look on deck, there's no real place to get below and get any shelter, so they would have been really exposed. And these actually went on really quite long voyages for multiple days out to sea as well. They're clinker built with these rivets to hold everything together.
Here on Unst, which is the most northern of the Shetland Islands, there are actually 60 remains of longhouses like this, Viking longhouses, and it's thought that none of the houses were exactly the same, but they've made this replica to try and show some of the design features of the longhouses. Back in Scandinavia, a lot of the Norse houses, their walls would have been made out of wood, but here in Shetland there are no trees, so instead they've made them out of the local stone, and any of the wood that they have used, either as the birch bark, which is used like felt on the roof here, or the interior of the houses, would have had to have been imported from Scandinavia.
This is a fire pit in the middle of the longhouse, and although they've got a hole in the roof above it, it would have been incredibly smoky in here. And because there's no wood, no trees growing on Shetland, they would have burnt either driftwood or peat, which is what the local Picts and even the crofters until very recently used as a fuel source. The walls of the longhouse are 1 metre thick, and that was for strength but also for insulation, and that's also why they've got the turf on the roof, because it adds insulation to keep that heat in, because it's pretty cold. Even now in the middle of summer we are wearing thermals, so back then before climate change it must have been freezing. Well, this is beautiful flat water sailing in the lee of the islands. Got 15 knots of wind, so we're down to a staysail and one reef in the main, but it's just perfect for sailing upwind. Just so nice to be sailing in flat water, and the scenery here is just stunning. Been keeping a lookout for orcas, but we haven't seen any. Maybe we'll see them a bit further down, who knows.
We're really making the most of the longer daylight hours. It's about 6:10 in the evening, which means in the tropics it would have been getting dark on us about now, but we've still got another 20 or so miles left to sail to get to the anchorage that we want to get to this evening, and we should hopefully arrive there still in daylight.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Back in now. Nice! Beauty! Ready? make it through that gap between the islands. How easy.
We're zigzagging through the islands, sailing south down the eastern side of Shetland, working our way towards Lerwick, the capital of the Shetlands, to restock Florence with food, fuel and water.
But the weather up here in the most northern waters of the UK changes quickly and often. Just a couple of hours after enjoying perfect sailing conditions, we were once again enveloped in grey, misty rain.
Beautiful scenery, even if it is kind of a bit drizzly and grey. Just stunningly craggy. Amazing.
It is 9:45 and still light enough to see. Okay. Yeah, it's good.
This is a beautiful anchorage, but what I wanted to show you out here right now is how light it is. It's actually 20 to midnight. We got here, beautiful place, had a glass of rum, watched a film, and now we're about to go to bed, but it is still daylight and it's gone past the longest day of the year, but it is so light all the time up here. It's actually screwing a little bit with our sleep patterns, to be honest, but it's beautiful and it means that you get pretty much 24 hours to go sailing whenever the tide is right and whenever the wind is right. So we're going to sleep well here tonight because it's really calm, we're really well protected in here, and looking forward to exploring this beautiful place tomorrow, as long as the rain holds off.
We stayed here for a couple of nights, and to be honest, it rained for most of that time, so we only went out exploring briefly.
When the weather improved, we headed on to Noss Island, which is an uninhabited island just east of the capital, Lerwick.
just come round today to the island of Nos. There was no wind, so we had to motor, and earlier we were coming along at the base of these cliffs with all the gannets flying around Florence. And now we've come onto the island and come for a walk. I think this is the closest we've got to a gannetry. And just looking down here on this precipice, you can see a whole load of them have got chicks, but oh man, it smells. And they're coming back with nesting material as well. There's one that's just come back which looks like a whole load of fishing line rather than any, seaweed or moss or twigs that you would normally make a nest out of. And apparently that is normal. You're now seeing a lot more broken fishing nets being used as nesting material by the gannets. It's supposed to take 4 hours to do the walking loop around this island, but it's taken us far longer than that because we keep stopping and looking at stuff. Just as we were leaving the boat, we came across an otter which ran across the path about 20 feet in front of us. We didn't have the cameras out quick enough. We circled round to get downwind of where we'd seen it go into the water, sat quietly at the edge of the water, and we did see it swimming and fishing, and then it actually came just up onto the rock. We could just see its head just over the rock in front of us, which was amazing because we'd been looking for otters, been in a couple of anchorages where there were supposed to be otters, and it was great to finally see one up close. Oh, these gannets are noisy as anything.
With our stores running low, it was time to head to the town of Lerwick, the capital of the islands, and the best place for provisioning in Shetland.
So this is Lerwick. It's the capital of the Shetland Islands, the biggest town, and we've been here just for a quick 2-day stop to reprovision, get some gas and some diesel. But today the weather is the best that we've had in the entire time we've been in the Shetlands, so we're going to make the most of it, head out from here down to a little island about 10 miles south where we can explore that, and then it looks like there's really good weather for a brilliant sail, hopefully across to the Orkney Islands. So we're going to set off and start heading west.
Lerwick was a really great provisioning stop, and it seems to be where all of the sailors from this area kind of congregate. There's a lot of boats that are just arriving from Scandinavia. It's definitely somewhere that we hope to stop in with and see a bit more of when we head up this way, when we're heading further north next year.
Next time, we sail to a 2,000-year-old broch and make the crossing from Shetland to Orkney in the Outer Hebrides.
For extra updates in between these bi-weekly videos, and to find out what we're up to in real time, head over to Patreon and join the crew. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to make sure that you don't miss the next episode here on YouTube.
Continuing our voyage on Florence would not be possible without the support of our patrons. Thank you to all of you, and especially to our star patrons.